A poem by Philip Terman, Some Days. Some days you have to turn off the news and listen to the bird or the truck or the neighbor screaming out her life. You have to close all the books and open all the windows so that whatever swirls inside can leave and whatever flutters against the glass can enter. Some days you have to unplug the phone and step out to the porch and rock all afternoon and allow the sun to tell you what to do. The whole day has to lie ahead of you, like railroad tracks that drift off into gravel. Some days you have to walk down the wooden staircase through the evening fog to the river where the peach roses are closing. Sit on the grassy bank and wait for the two geese. Some days you have to turn off the news. So continuing the silence as you stretch, maybe get some tea. You can have cookies in their kitchen if you want. And then we'll meet back in here in about 5 minutes.
So here we are, beginning again with beginner's mind. Really two very important ways that supports our effort for true happiness. Beginning again and with beginner's mind is something that we want to really remember as we begin our meditation practice. Anytime we're practicing, or even in our daily life. So beginning again is something that automatically is automatic, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's what we continuously do as we practice insight meditation. Because we notice that the nature of the mind is to leave the primary object of the sensation of the breath. And so it leaves, and so we begin again. And so that's important to remember as we go back into the basic of our meditation practice. And beginner's mind is something that we can practice continuously, where we find ourselves open to possibilities instead of closed with opinions and mind states and stories that we tell ourselves. An openness, an emptiness, where the mind and body is ready for all the possibilities of life, instead of just thinking the same old, doing the same old, wanting the same old. So these first lessons really it's an effort to just kind of create some groundwork that we can do as we begin again. And so another thing I want to talk about that goes along with some things that we just want to keep in mind and to remind ourselves as we're practicing is really there's only one Dharma, one truth. Truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. But of course, there are many paths. Many paths. And so we find ourselves really wanting to just find out what the truth is. The truth about the body, the truth about these sensations, the truth about mind states, the truth about emotions, the truth about life, the truth about death, the truth about who we are. So we're just opening and asking. And that's what the meditation enables us to do, to open to that kind of, well, to the truth. I don't think it's the kind of truth. I think it is the truth. So we were born alone, and we're going to die alone. And we're going to die the way we live. And so, one way, many ways, but one way that we're practicing is how to know thyself, how to know oneself. And there's great, great wisdom along with deep, deep happiness and peace and calm in that journey. How to listen to ourselves. It's a personal path of listening and getting to know oneself. And that takes a lot of courage, as I've said before, because we hide from ourselves. We have these little shadows that we don't want to go to. But we begin to realize it is through those doors that it's all open to us. And our meditation points us in that direction. We're opening to the self that has, or some people are in the tradition calls non-self, where it's big. We're much, much expansive, bigger than big. And as the body is born and it dies, this non-self doesn't. Never is born and it never dies. But what we find in this form is we sometimes hold on to these self-built prisons of spiritual concepts and models. And this is what I'm cautioning you with, because this is a spiritual path. And we can do this particular path, this particular way, things we've done in the past, to learning new ways to open. So we can accumulate these concepts and ideas over the years, and then we bring them with us to our practice, and we get bogged down. And yet we're told over and over again that it won't work that way. It has to be a beginning again with a beginner's mind. But mindfulness meditation really is a fresh breeze of interest and opening to what? To ourselves. How bad could that be? It can be a little scary, but getting to know ourselves. Because really, we're the only ones that can experience our truth and the truth. It's very personal. And so the practice, with its enabling us to open, helps us to blow away some of these long held opinions about the ultimate nature of who we are. So it's refreshing to begin again. It's refreshing to have the beginner's mind. And it becomes a lot more interesting and spiritually vital when we ask questions, open-ended questions like, who are we? Who are we? It's powerful. Or contemplating the don't know mind. Don't know mind. It allows us to not get stuck or to dogmatize this practice. It enables us, and this is the intent of the Joseph and Jack and Sharon when they came back to the East, was to see different points of views. Why not? Why not? That's why Joseph wrote the book One Dharma. Made it real clear. There is one truth. And this Western Buddhist practice has been going on for about over 40 years. So what we can do to it and with it, we have to be very cautious, because we have a tendency to think that if it works for us, it should work for you. Or if we have a spiritual experience, we want others to have the same experience. And I've said before that Buddha gives us a lot of tools to work with. Why? Because we are diverse in that way. And what works for Randy won't necessarily work for me. So I caution about making your practice rigid or turning it into any kind of dogma, any kind of opinions and thoughts of the way it should be, like other spiritual paths have been. No, this is the right way. No, this is the right way. No, follow me. And we see it in all of the religions. We see it in Buddhism. But thank goodness these particular teachers said, and they have always included the Theravadan, the Tibetan, and the Zen. Why? Because if we think of all of the metaphysical physics as skillful means and as ways to evoke new ways of perceiving, instead of acting like they're absolute truths, we can just embrace them. Embrace them, and then when we learn how, if we do, trust ourselves, know ourselves, we'll know. The truth is the truth. There's nothing to be afraid of it. You find the truth in all spiritual paths. There's truth there. And so one Dharma is just this. It's experiencing the essential point common to all spiritual paths. What a relief. Oh, I'm a Vipassana teacher. Oh, I'm a vipassana meditator. Well, what does that mean? Well, it just means I'm trying to find out about myself. It's not holy, but it is a process. It is something that's tried and true for 2,500 years that can lead me to complete happiness. It's already led me to happiness. After practicing for as long as we have, we say, Randy and I will say, how do people grow old and do not have this practice? I can't imagine. Or even live and not know what we know. So it teaches us so much. And again, the one Dharma is experience the essential point common to all teachings. And all it's doing is teaching us. It's teaching us to know thyself to the point where we can trust ourselves. Okay, I'll take that. That works for a while. But that may not work forever. Oh, well, then I might can let that go. And then I might, oh yeah, well, that's calling me. That's trusting yourself. That's knowing yourself, knowing what your path is. And so, there's an invitation to learn step by step that we're going to get into pretty soon. Have one more little pre-primer I want to talk about next week. And then we're going to go into the very basics. But when we do that, we want to hold on to beginning again, beginner's mind, and let's don't get attached. Let's keep it open. Let's keep it spacious. Let's not dogmatize it. You can dogmatize anything, and you certainly can do it this path. Certainly can do it this path. So, mindfulness serves us in the most humblest ways. It keeps us connected to ourselves. It keeps us connected when we're brushing our teeth, driving our car, talking to people. It connects. And so, when we're present, and this can only be true, can be the truth when you experience, but what being present in the present moment, where life is lived fully in the here and now, compassion naturally arises. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the Buddha's word for it. But practicing being in the present moment, in the here and now, compassion naturally arises. So, we struggle. We get into something that we want to learn and we apply what we did when we got our PhD. I don't have my PhD, but I would if I had my PhD. So what I'm saying to you is open it to possibilities and watch yourself. Just be conscious of how we're coming, how we're bringing ourselves into this practice. So the practice really, when we practice, wisdom grows. So we're practicing mindfulness. We all know that. What comes along with that is compassion. And what comes along with that is deep, deep wisdom of how to be completely happy and free in this lifetime. So I'll stop with that. And open it up to you. Randy, anything you want to say?
Well, when we talk about the truth, it's like when in Jack Kornfield's book, A Path of Heart, he asks in the beginning of the book, he says, what is your deepest intention? If you were on your deathbed, your last breath, you look back over your life, what would you want your life to have been like? And then base your intention for your practice on that deepest heartfelt intention. And then the Buddha talked about that the fact that we will see three characteristics when we're very still and quiet, when we're mindful in our bodies. And what are those characteristics? We start to, and it's the characteristics of all life, of all things. And there are three. And this, when you talked about the truth, it led me to the understanding of all the dharmas. Talk about impermanence, anicca, talk about dukkha, dissatisfaction, suffering, you might say, and anatta, the fact that there's not any personal self behind any of these things. And it kind of works like this: when I'm very still and in my body, I can see the arising and passing away constantly of everything. It's like a stream flowing that there's nothing at all possible to hold on to. There's just constantly changing phenomenon, which necessitates a beginner's mind. When you see that, there is only beginner's mind. There can't be anything but beginner's mind because everything is always changing. Then I also see that if I try to hold on to any of those changing phenomena, this whole array of sound and experiences, sensations, if I try to hold them, then it creates dukkha, that's the suffering. If I try to push them away, if I don't something I don't like, within that changing, constantly changing stream of anicca, change, then there's suffering. And in this constant change, I can't even find anything to put my finger on that resembles a self, because that's changing too. It's constantly changing. It's never the same. And the wonderful thing for me about that is it's life is always fresh. When it's constantly changing, it's freshly arising. There's no stale, stagnant tentacles to hold on to. They stink. There's just this fresh, always freshness, always changing. There's nothing to grasp. There's nothing to hold on to. And that's the truth that it seems to be very common through all practices of stillness and inquiry and so forth. But it's a natural seeing of these characteristics. There's a joke. Dukkha and anicca and anatta, not self, are in a bar. Dukkha says, this place sucks. Anicca says, yeah, we got to get out of here. And anatta says, you guys talking to me? That's the Dharma in a nutshell. So now anybody want to talk about the one Dharma or meditation practice? Tell a joke? No.
I've been having a lot of trouble, as most people know, with getting myself on a cushion. And I've been reading a new book about, well, not new to me, about meditation. And he spends a lot of time encouraging you to really create a happiness around the experience. So that instead of sitting there and thinking, I've got to meditate, I've got to clear my mind, all that, you just say no to all that. And you really work on creating creating an ambience and a feeling. It's all in the feeling mode, really, of real love and wanting to be there on that cushion in that space with that figure, if you've got a figure or whatever. And it's really helping me a lot because so often, and I don't know how, and maybe you're all wise, but I'm still one of those people who thinks I've got to meditate and I don't want to and I'm not going to and I'm going to walk past it again and then, oh, why didn't I do it? Go and sit. And I think there are a lot of people to whom meditation is actually a burden. And this is a totally different way of, and I've never had it put quite so clearly before, but it's been a huge help. This idea of really loving what you're doing and spending more time on building up your feeling towards being there than actually sitting and meditating in some ways. It's been,
Yeah, and everybody heard the question pretty much about bringing joy and happiness
yeah.
into your practice, that it's not, doesn't have to be a struggle. If it's a struggle or a battle all the time, you're not going to do it. So you can sit, and sometimes I'll say, let this meditation practice be a gift of kindness to yourself. There's clear awareness of whatever is arising. It's a very kind attention that we're offering, whatever is there. And because we're so conditioned to the Velcro of negativity, that we, like Anita was saying, we bring that attitude to our cushions sometimes. So if we can just sit clearly with what's there without arguing, then there's a certain delight in our meditation practice. So, yeah, it took me a long time to learn that.
Well, one of the things that the practice enables us to see our mindsets. We carry these mindsets, opinions, along with us. Well, we don't even notice them, and that's what the practice does. We begin to directly experience, oh, I'm sitting with this mind state of dread, or have to, and just noticing that loosens it, you know. And there's automatically a little shift, oh, yeah, that mindset. So, yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Veronica.
And do you really think all those 26 or so hundred years of Buddhist practitioners, that they would keep on doing it if it was awful? No, there's a joy in awakening. So, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to offer something about the concept of dogmatizing this thing. By nature, I'm like that. And last year, I don't remember when it was, my practice had become so confused that I decided I had to quit coming to the yellow dogs, and I did. I quit. I quit for 6 or 7 weeks. I made a conscious decision. I'm not going back because it was too hard. I wasn't enjoying it. I was just thinking about it so much, and it was just this big struggle. And I got to get better at meditating. And I finally realized that I'm not meditating to be a better meditator. I'm meditating to be a better person, and that kind of changed my whole perspective. I was able to relax that dogmatization thing. And when I came back, I told you, Anita, about it, and you said, "Well, you just have to trust yourself," and that was so true. It really struck me, and it's always stuck with me going forward. That sometimes we have to make decisions, and you think, oh, well, what would they think of that? It doesn't matter. You have to make decisions based on what really is in your heart and in your head, or however you want to say it. But anyway, I've really appreciated that part of the talk. Well, I like the whole talk. But
We'll repeat the question.
Trusting yourself. We're repeating the question for the sake of the recording. So,
Trusting oneself.
trusting yourself, knowing when to stop and when to go, and trusting your heart.
Well,
So,
and
thank you.
remember, there's no right way. I mean, just what you did to yourself was you backed off. You said, "I'm backing off of this. This is just adding too much stress to my life." So you backed off, and that was perfect. That's exactly what renewed. It's like a renewing. And so that's a perfect example of only you will know. But we set ourselves up. We set ourselves up by, gosh, I'm going to learn this practice. I'm going to, you know, get to the end. Well, there's no end, you know. So and my biggest struggle was applying what I've always applied and learning something new. Yeah, I would struggle. I'd struggle. I would be, you know, it was all, a lot of it was mental instead of just opening. And that's it. It's all about opening. And that's kind of new for us. Paul?
So I'm kind of struck by the title of Joseph's book when he talks about one Dharma and one truth. And, we talked about this a little bit. Randy was talking about how his friend up in Massachusetts was saying to question everything. And it seems to me like when you settle in on a dogma, then what you found is an answer. But what you really want to be doing is you want to be questioning. And I mean, there's even that police interrogation technique that you keep asking the question over and over again because the truth doesn't change. And so if there's the truth, which, I mean, that's why I sit, I'm training my mind so that I can track with the truth. Gotten the hint that that has something to do with change and dissatisfaction and the impersonal nature of things. Somebody told me that. But really, I'm trying to check what is true. And so all these inquiries and all these questions, what doesn't change? One Dharma, if one Dharma is really a promise, then one Dharma doesn't change. It doesn't matter how you ask. And the minute you dogmatize, you're not asking, you've got an answer. The cup is full.
Yeah, you're so true. That's so true.
So
Beautiful.
and then just to bring it all the way back to the beginning, we begin again. We ask the fresh question in the fresh moment.
And that's why it repeat. I can't ever repeat it. You repeat the question.
Well, beginning again takes courage,
Yes.
Yeah.
and because it's easy to get stuck in some dogma where someone tells us exactly how it's going to be and how it is. So we can sort of fall into that trap. But to ask the question again and again, fresh and new in the moment, that takes courage. And trust, like Frank was saying, in your own heart and your own intention. To me, anyway.
And as we practice, we begin to know the nature of the mind. And so, as the mind has been in this culture the primary God, then we begin to see the limitations of the mind. And when we understand the limitations of the mind, then we understand when any time we try to come to a conclusion, the mind's involved. Always.
Something that just a little image came to mind of like those little pots of water, and one's flowing into the other one, and it's flowing into the next one. And I feel sometimes just kind of like a little pot of water, and there's stuff flowing in, but for stuff to flow in, other stuff has to like leave at the same time. So I can't just hold on to these dogmas or ideas or beliefs. The only knowing I have is that it's all changing always.
Yes. It's all changing. The question was you see yourself as almost a flowing from one pot to another, then they never get full. Is that what I'm hearing?
So, taking this idea of constantly questioning and putting it next to the idea of doubt as a hindrance. one of the things that I'm struck by is if we take doubt as one of as a hindrance with restlessness, the sloth and torpor, greed, that it it closes down on that process of questioning.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I'm really curious is how do we come to see? I mean, in what way is doubt a hindrance, having to do with this process of questioning?
It's a hindrance because we're talking about doubt. When doubt can be like just a quagmire of mud, being stuck in the mud, because it's like you, with the kind of doubt you're talking about, you can't go forward and you can't go backward. You're stuck, and and there's also healthy doubt where you're questioning what somebody says, you're questioning something that you read, um, but with regard to the hindrance of doubt, it's the most important thing that um, can be done is to recognize the doubt. Because if we don't recognize it, that's when we just get stuck deeper and deeper in the mud and can't get out. So the hindrance is if we know what they are, and they're spelled out pretty much, and we see the doubt, then to what recognize that there is doubt. And by that clear recognition, we'll see that even that doubt changes. It doesn't stay the same. But it has to be fully recognized before we can see that. And then if it changes and it doesn't stay the same, then what is it? Is it something that's going to hold you back then, or it can't, because it's not, we see through it.
Mm-hmm.
We see the impossibility of holding on to that idea.
Mm-hmm. That helps.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the clear recognition. And any of the hindrances, the wanting or aversion or restlessness or sleepiness and this lolling around, or doubt, any of the five, they're there to be recognized. Yes. Mary.
Just on this topic, I guess I realize I'm looking at doubt because it's one that I've worked with as well. There's that refined difference. I may be repeating what you're saying, but if I am, I'm doing it so that I'll get it. If it's doubt as a hindrance, it's you're making an assumption, and you're no longer open to the inquiry. You're assuming something's not true, or it's not going to work, or whatever the doubt is. There is an assumption, so you've got an agenda. If you're in a state of inquiry because you're not sure, there's an opening to you can always be, what's this? What's this new experience? What's this about? Is this true? Versus, I don't think this is true. It's so there's a real fine. It's like a refined difference between the two, but you can kind of flip into the doubt probably, or I can easily.
No, well said.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's only a real problem if we don't recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't recognize that it's there.
Right.
Then it kind of stays there as a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, in this practice anyway, for me, to be able to look at it, there's doubt, and bring the doubt into the experience of what it feels like embodying the doubt. And then there's nothing to be afraid of if we recognize it. Then it has no hold on us either.
It's a phenomenon.
Rising and passing away again.
And I think with beginner's mind, um, we can, it's also, it's not only,
we listen to what people say about meditation or what you'll get, and you have to learn that for yourself. But with practice, we also come up with our own assumptions of what it is, and always coming back to beginner's mind opens that door again to not just assuming what your own assumptions are,
Yes.
you know,
And when you
and
start,
that keeps it fresh.
exactly, and when you start to see, whenever we start to see the depth of impermanence, it's not just we all know everything's impermanent. We can talk to each other about it, but when we deeply see it, then it opens that whole idea. It kind of dissolves everything into beginner's mind. It can't budge.
Mm.
And there's a real relief there. Yes.
One thing that I think about when I hear the word doubtful is this idea that sometimes having doubts is seen as a positive thing. It's like, oh, question everything. Don't take everything for face value. And so many of us might be trained to always have that guard up or always be inquisitive. At least that's kind of how I look at things. And one thing that turned me off to meditation was I felt that when a question was posed, the answer was just sit on it or just reflect and I for me in my mind when people would ask questions or when I had questions myself, hearing that I felt, well, I want to know the why, I want to know why that is, give me the science behind like the meditation process, the meditation practice. And it wasn't until I kind of just put that aside and gave it a chance and felt the effects of meditation that doubt went away. So I feel that the conditioning that we have towards wanting to know and needing to have the answers certainly, of course, increases our doubt, but it's the practice really. If you are just open for that second and you take that opportunity, it's life changing really. Just like doubt can be too. So.
Just that second, like you said. Just that second.
And that's what's so nice about, and we'll go into the five hindrances deeply, each one of them, with what's so nice about them. Again, as I say, the Buddha did all the work because he knew that these things are going to come up. And, what he's saying is get to know them, get to know their true nature, you know them in a way that we've not conceptualized to directly experience them in the body.
And inquiry is a positive thing. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's wonderful. No need to stop inquiring.
Yeah, but it can be so confusing.
Yes, if it gets too mental,
Yeah.
then you start to argue. I start to argue with myself and all of that stuff, and so and pretty soon that just gets too, like you said, too confusing. So we come into it a different way. Anybody else? It's been a lovely night. Great questions. Comments. We will end the evening with a metta meditation. And Bob will begin by just opening us up to sound, just listening to the sounds arise and pass away, and sit back and relax for the metta. It can be very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. You hear the sounds arise, pass away. As you come into your body, come into your heart. Metta is a way of being kind to yourself. It's a gift, really. Breathing in and out through the center of your chest, your heart. May I feel safe in this moment. May I feel safe, free from danger and harm. May I feel happy and content. May I be well in body and mind. May my heart rest with ease and well-being. You can say these phrases along with me or just listening. Let the phrase and the intention wash over you. May I feel safe. Free from danger. May I feel happy and content. May I be well. May my heart rest with ease and well-being. Then offering the same wish for everyone here tonight. May you also feel safe. May you feel happy and content. May you be well in body and mind. And may your heart rest with ease and well-being. Then letting the boundless heart expand to include all beings everywhere. Members of your family, your pets, people in other countries. Many visions may pass by. Politicians. May all beings feel safe. May all beings feel happy and content. May all beings be well and healthy in body and mind. May all beings live with ease. Thanks for being here tonight. There wouldn't be this Sangha if not for you, so I appreciate being here with you. Enjoy your evening.
And don't be dogmatizing.
Catmatized.